will be covered in this course. So you can see four nice tiny pictures which explains a lot about this training. So first picture, which you can see a chip, which indicates an in-memory database, which is nothing but your SAP HANA. So we will, even though irrespective of whether you know HANA or don't know HANA, I will be taking you through the introduction of SAP HANA for you to gain the maturity so that you can work on SAP HANA database. The second part phase of the course, we will look at ABAP development on SAP HANA. What does it mean for you when your company decides to choose SAP HANA as the database of choice on your SAP ECC system? And will your existing custom code would work or not work? And what is that innovation you can bring it in upfront when you run on SAP HANA database? In the third section or third phase of the course, we'll look at some advanced concepts of SAP HANA and ABAP on HANA. And then we'll see how can we optimize our current ABAP applications so that they can run beautifully on this HANA database. So there are a lot of new concepts like ABAP database connectivity, ADBC, CDS view, if you have heard about them, and then of course creating your analytical apps on top of CDS views. So that would be the last part of the course where we will look at introduction of creating analytical Fiori apps on top of SAP ABAP on HANA using SAP UI5 technology. Now, all of that will be in a live system, and many of you have sent me the query about what about system access. So throughout this course, we will be using the system from a cloud system, and that system setup I will show you as part of this course, how to set up the system yourself for this course ABAP on HANA. So you can set up ABAP on HANA server in the cloud with your own cost. And I think it's not that great cost. It is a very minimal cost which they charge it for server. With the help of that, you can get started with SAP ABAP on HANA on latest NetWeaver 7.5 with SAP HANA Database 1.0 SP10. Now, what does it mean? What is the evolution in the different stack of the software? All of that you will get some insight in today's demo as well as in upcoming sessions. So hope that these four pictures clearly identifies now the scope of this particular course. So who would be the target audience? You are already working in any company as an ABAP consultant, and now you see there's a shift in the industry where most of now SAP products are shifting towards HANA database. And moreover, you will see a shift in your ERP suite, which is known as business suite, to getting transformed into SAP S4 HANA. So that this will be the main motive for us to understand what it means for shifting your current database management system to SAP HANA. And in case if your company is also going ahead and implementing SAP S4 HANA, this course will be also helpful for you. Now, the duration of this course is more than 40 hours. And a promise once again from my side, as you have seen my YouTube tutorials as well as my previous trainings, those who have attended, that I don't do a copy paste of training where majority of the trainers have a ready-made sample of code. They will simply copy the code, paste it into the IDE, show you the output, and they will just say course is over. That's not my style of teaching. We will write every single line of code into the system, and we will start from very basic. So in case if there's a need to learn SQL script for coding an ABAP managed data procedure, we will also look at SQL script. So what does it mean for you when your company decides to go on SAP HANA database? So some of these questions will be asked by your manager or your teammates to you as an ABAP on HANA consultant, which will be, will your existing custom code work? Will you be able to optimize the performance of your current custom code? What are all the different roles you would need in the company to work with this such an ABAP on HANA system? How will you build the new style or optimized ABAP applications on top of your HANA stack and also improve your user experience by implementing features like fuzzy search, full text search in SAP HANA, or creating analytical Fiori apps on top of your CDS or data service with annotations? Then what's new in the SAP NetWeaver and SAP HANA and what it means for you as an ABAPer. So if this is your goal, then this course is for you, and definitely there's a great learning coming ahead. So we will cover a lot of interesting concepts like HANA CDS modeling, CDS views, SQL scripting, ABAP managed data procedures, ADBCs, new performance tools, which helps you to identify the top business transactions in your system, the top SQL queries which are fired by users in your production system, and doing a comprehensive analysis of such code. So to find the room for where you can improve your coding. And at the end, we will build an end-to-end Fiori application on top of these artifacts, uh, which we learn during the course. And then we will also build the end-to-end scenario using a real-time used case called open item analysis scenario. So I will discuss about this scenario. This scenario is based on so-called an EPM model, enterprise procurement model. Now, some of you may think, what is this EPM? Don't worry, we will discuss about EPM, what is EPM model. So you can relate these artifacts, you can relate the real business, the real coding with real business scenarios. So that will be the a sample example we will be taking going ahead in our course throughout. Yeah. So moving on, as I told you, if you are a beginner or you don't know anything about SAP HANA, don't worry. We will have a look, deep dive inside SAP HANA database. We will look at the features of SAP HANA, like what is row versus column store, what are all the software and hardware advancements in SAP HANA, how the SAP HANA database is evolved from SAP HANA 1.0 to 2.0, in the different support packs, what features have been released by SAP, then usage of SAP HANA with SAP products as a secondary database, which is called sidecar scenario, BW on HANA, and ABAP on HANA finally. How to set up your SAP ABAP on HANA system yourself in SAP CAL. So this is the part I was talking about. I'm getting a lot of questions from many of you about the server access. You don't need to run behind anybody for any server access. We will do that. We will learn how to set up the server ourselves in this course. So you don't have to, run behind anybody for getting your right server for practice setting up in the system. Then we will look at connecting our SAP HANA system via HANA Studio and also connecting to our ABAP system via SAP GUI. So I'll show you here quickly. This is my ABAP on HANA system in my local SAP GUI. And then I'm just trying to connect to the same. So I just double click and you can see it opens up here, and I just quickly log into my server. So I will show you how to set up the server yourself and connect it from your local computer. Yeah, so you can just quickly go to systems and have a look at what is the version of this server which it is running on. So we'll look at quickly the NetWeaver version and also look at the database on which it is running. So you can see here the system is on SAP NetWeaver 7.5, which is, I think, latest server. Of course, with 7.5 in SAP, you have a lot of new improvements as compared to even 7.4. So we will be able to explore all these options of latest NetWeaver in our examples. Yeah, and then you can see here the database on which it runs is SAP HANA database HDB. Yeah, so that indicates that this is a perfect server which runs as an ABAP server on top of HANA database. So I will show you how this HANA database helps you to improve the performance, as well as guides you to build new variety and new innovative applications with SAP ABAP on HANA. Yeah, so that's the server which we will be using, and you will learn how to set up this server in the cloud yourself. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting learning for us. Then we look at SQL console in SAP HANA. We will also see how to connect our system from our ABAP development tools or HANA Studio. So HANA Studio is nothing but just a client which helps you to connect to the server, just like your SAP GUI. So using your SAP GUI, you can connect to SAP ABAP application server. Similarly, SAP HANA Studio is another option for us to connect from our client system to SAP HANA database, as well as our ABAP system from this ABAP development tools on Eclipse. We will look at introduction for the same in our course. So it will be all from the very basic, guys. You will see it in a minute when I will start the real demo on the same. Then we have also, we will be looking at information modeling in SAP HANA, all the different variety of information model. I'll show you how to create them: attribute views, analytical views, calculation views, and decision tables. We will look at both the type of calculation views, graphical and scripted ones. And then we'll look at concepts of database currency conversions, and also how to identify dimensions and measures. And also we will have a deep dive inside SQL scripting in SAP HANA. Very important topic. Of course, we'll be spending about 5 to 6 hours on this topic, because this is going to lead your knowledge to a very good level of SQL script. Because in ABAP, if you see, there are a lot of new concepts like AMDP, ABAP Managed Data Procedure, which helps you to code SQL script based programs in SAP application layer. Yeah, so this knowledge is very important for us. We will look at in this course SQL scripting as well. Then we look at different variety of scripted blocks like anonymous SQL blocks, procedures, and functions, user-defined functions in SAP HANA. We look at all the types of functions, whether it's a table user-defined function or scalar user-defined functions. Then we'll reuse these artifacts in our ABAP on HANA stack. Then once this introduction of SAP HANA is done, we will move to real ABAP on HANA. What does it mean for you? Which development tools you will be using to connect to your SAP ABAP system, which is running on SAP HANA. We will understand what is ABAP development tools, how to set up ABAP development tools on Eclipse, and how to connect to your ABAP system. And then, of course, we will have a deep dive inside shortcuts and different techniques you work with ABAP development tools on SAP ABAP system. Then we'll see how you can optimize the developer efficiency using ABAP development tools. And then, of course, the concept of schema, which gets connected to SAP HANA system with respect to your ABAP system. We'll discuss what is schema in introduction of SAP HANA. Then we'll look at evolution of SAP NetWeaver. What are all the new capabilities in SAP NetWeaver? We'll look at new syntax in SAP ABAP, like inline data declaration, dynamic memory references, SQL statements with escaping of host variable. So these are all some new things which you will find in your ABAP code. And these improvements have been done by SAP in SAP NetWeaver 7.4 onwards. Yeah, so I will explain you which improvement or which feature is available in which support pack of SAP NetWeaver and which support pack of SAP HANA accordingly. So introduction to EPM data model, very important. So this is what our real-time use case would do us. There are a set of enterprise procurement model database tables, which we will take it as a reference data and reference scenario for building our open item analysis application, and see how we can optimize the performance of such a ERP real-time application by using ABAP on HANA. We look at consumption of SAP HANA artifacts in ABAP system. For example, if you create a data model, let's say I create an analytical view in SAP HANA, how can I consume it in my ABAP system? So there are multiple ways to do that. So one of the technique is creating proxy objects. So view proxies as well as procedure proxies. You can also use concept of ABAP database connectivity, ADBC, to call these proxy objects from SAP ABAP system. We'll look at the lifecycle management of these objects using transportation management, as well as our HANA transport container for our HANA delivery unit plus ABAP transports. Then we will move towards new tooling concepts with ABAP, SQL Monitor tool, new SQL Monitor tool, and also as our conventional code inspector, which has been enhanced according to SAP ABAP on HANA, and what it means for you to identify the pitfalls when you migrate from a non-HANA database to HANA database. Will your existing code work, not work? How do you identify these pitfalls which would lead to problems when you're migrating to SAP HANA or S4 HANA in your company? Yeah, we'll look at also enhanced performance tools, which will help you to combine the results of Code Inspector as well as SQL Monitor together to give you a comprehensive prioritized work list of the places where exactly you will go and improve the performance. Now, some of these things are going beyond your boundaries right now. Some of you are thinking, Anubhav, what are you talking? I'm not able to understand anything. Don't worry, we'll have it a deep dive inside each of these topics, understand the basics of it first of all, as I did it in my previous Fiori course. Those who have attended, you already know that I always start with very basic, and then I take you to a pretty advanced model. Yeah. Then finally, advanced features, which we all been waiting for, will come up here after ramping up ourselves and understanding ADT and SAP HANA. We'll look at code to data paradigm. How can you improve the performance by pushing down the code to the database? We'll look at different code push down techniques. And also an interesting topic here, how to connect your S4 HANA system or SAP ABAP application server system to SAP cloud platform. Very, very important topic, using SAP Cloud Connector. How can you expose your resources from an on-premise system on internet to a internet-based HANA Cloud Platform subscription account? Yeah, we'll look at this integration, performance improvement on SAP HANA, and of course these advanced topics like ABAP database connectivity API. How can that help you to call underlying SAP HANA artifacts? Then, of course, new advanced techniques like ABAP managed data procedure, where you can write a SQL script code directly into an ABAP class, and that class can have some special methods which then ultimately creates a procedure in underlying SAP HANA database. So this is one of the another advanced technique to do a code push down to gain or to squeeze the last bit of SAP HANA database performance improvement. Then this is one important topic. We'll be spending a lot of sessions on this, which is a very important topic in today's world. If you go to any S4 projects or you are working on ABAP on HANA already, you will hear people talking about CDS, Core Data Services. We'll look at CDS introduction, association, view-on-view concept, extensibility, and that's the limit of all the trainers what you see online right now in the market. So it's open challenge. You can go and check out tutorials of majority of the trainers. In fact, I have already subscribed to many of these trainings to understand what is that they're teaching. And I found that maximum, any trainer online, they will reach till here. That's it. They will only teach you CDS introduction, association concept, and view-on-view concept. That's it. They will stop here. Beyond this, they don't have a limit. They don't even understand what is going on. But now with SAP S4 HANA and SAP NetWeaver 7.5, there are a lot of new concepts in system which nobody will explain you, and that's one USP you will find with my course. In my course, we look at SAP S4 HANA CDS modeling based on virtual data model concept, VDM. We'll look at all three types of views: basic interface views, composite views, and consumption views in S4 HANA CDS modeling. And then we will look at CDS annotations world to really understand how this can change the life for your analytical tools, for your BOPF integration, for your floor plan manager integration, and also for your Fiori related application development. So I have seen these guys indeed. Don't take me wrong, but majority of the Hyderabad trainers, what I've seen, they all teach copy paste. They will have ready-made sample downloaded from some blogs or from internet. They will copy that code, paste it into Eclipse, activate the CDS, show you the output, and run away. This is the kind of training they are giving, and this is ironically funny for me when I look at these trainers. And this is not called training, okay? Because this is kind of like fooling students that we can teach you CDS. Okay, that's not CDS. CDS is what when you really use this in your real-time concepts. So after understanding annotations concept, you will be able to consume these annotated CDS views in your analytical query tools, which I will show you in SAP system. And then we will also see new features of CDS like CDS table, CDS view with table functions, which is only available with 7.5, SAP NetWeaver 7.5, which is latest. You will see this concept, why we use CDS table functions. We'll look at the reason for that in real-time used cases. We'll look at lots of annotations like object model, environment variables, UI-related annotations for line item, creating different variety of applications or consumption tools these CDS views. And then we will look at authorization concept. Believe me, this nobody will teach you authorization concept of CDS. You can make use of your current PFCG roles, your current authorization concept with CDS DCL, data control language concept. So how can you do that and consume and test your CDS view with analytical tools? If you have done or used a CDS view analytical annotations, how can you make use of it for testing? Then some more advanced concepts in SAP ABAP, like SAP ABAP improved ALV with IDA integrated data access. So in conventional ALV, we used to pull all the data from database, loop at internal table, and then create our field catalog and create our internal table and then push it to the ALV. But now we have improved ALV with integrated data access framework. With the help of that, it only pulls the data from database which is required. And if there is an aggregation needs to be done, it does it directly in the database and only pulls the final aggregated result rather than calculating the aggregations into the application layer, which is time consuming. Yeah. Then we have full text search capability with SAP HANA, and also the fuzzy search capability with SAP HANA. How do you implement it in SAP ABAP? And finally, an end-to-end implementation of an open item analysis scenario using SAP ABAP on HANA, techniques with ABAP on HANA, and then also implementing a Fiori master detail application. And finally, an analytical list page application implementation using CDS UI annotations. And then also I will offer here the complimentary OOPS ABAP session for runtime type services in SAP ABAP. Now, a lot of you must be wondering, Anubhav, will this be possible for you to cover in what time, what hours? So believe me, last batch which I had conducted, I'll just show you for as evidence. This is the video recorded sessions of my last ABAP on HANA course, and it took me about 49 hours to complete all these topics. So you can see, if you don't have time, if your timings are not suitable for my batch, you can go with a complete video based course where all these topics are covered step by step from very scratch till the end. You can see we finally built a Fiori app on top of a CDS view, and it took about 49.09 hours for me to complete this course. It's a weekend batch, and the timings are going to be same 7 to 9 p.m. India time on weekends. Yeah, so that's the time. That will be the timing for the batch, which I will have it. And I'm trying to now, since it was my first batch with ABAP on HANA last, I had kind of took some little bit more time, but I will try to squeeze all these concepts about in 45 hours. So 45 hours is, you can easily assume that it'll take for us to complete. That's a promise from my side. And you can see as an evidence, all these topics in these videos are already covered. So if you don't have time, you cannot match my time zone, probably you can go ahead with a complete video based course. Yeah, so that will be in a nutshell the complete course which we will be having a look at. Hope this is clear. Course content wise, what is that will be the scope of this course. Now let's quickly move on to our demo and understand what evolution we are talking here. What does it mean for you working on ABAP on HANA, and what is code to data paradigm in SAP? So let's move on to our introduction of SAP ABAP on HANA. But before we start, let's try to understand what is our conventional SAP system. So an SAP system is also known as SAP R3. Okay, so R stands for real time, and 3 stands for 3-tier architecture. Yeah, so this is what we've been learning as an ABAPer or as any SAP consultant. This is the first thing which we learned in our first training, introduction training with SAP. There is nothing new about it. So we all know these 3 layers. First is the presentation layer, and this presentation layer is basically your SAP logon, SAP GUI. Okay, and then there will be this application layer, which is nothing but your real SAP ABAP your application server. So SAP application layer includes your SAP ABAP application server. We also call it as application server, SAP AS, or this was also changed to SAP WAS, web application server, because it also supports now web-based applications. in our application layer. And then third layer, which we have it as a database layer in the three-tier architecture. So one question here from audience is, what is the difference between video course and live course? There is no difference in the content side. The course is going to be same. Video course and live course both are same. It's your choice of whether you would like to go or you're learning with video, or you want to go with live session on regular basis. That's your choice. Okay. So now this is the 3D architecture we typically have in SAP system. So we have presentation, application, and database here. Now, over the years, if you look at, there has been a significant improvement in all these three layers. Okay. So SAP is innovating, and it's innovating in a way that it is actually changing all these three layers in a way that it can bring real value for the users of SAP system. So let me quickly tell you what are all the latest innovations as on today, what we have in all these three layers. So if you look at your conventional SAP GUI, can anybody guess what it is replaced with now? Would you consume your applications using SAP GUI anymore? What has been improved in terms of your presentation? What you have got new? Absolutely right answer. You have got now SAP Fiori UX, which has become now your new user experience. SAP has changed. Nobody now anymore use the conventional SAP GUI to connect or to consume the business application. Now, when it comes to the database layer, earlier you could connect your SAP application server with SAP AC or MaxDB or IBM DB6, Oracle database, different variety of databases you could connect to. And there is a significant change in the industry, which is now replacing the conventional database systems, which are known as RDBMS systems, based on hard disk to an in-memory database called HANA database. Now, why it is called an in-memory database, I will show you in a minute. So that's another innovation which is happening in these two layers. And then, of course, in your application layer, there is also innovation happening. You're getting new versions of application layer. So earlier, you used to have SAP NetWeaver, and this is your technical foundation for all the applications running on SAP system. Yeah, and this is also improving day by day. Okay, so if you remember, in conventional days, we had or the days when SAP was announced SAP R3 1993. That time we used to use SAP GUI only to connect it, and later on we saw there was a shift in industry and the big dot-com bubble, and then everybody would start in building apps or applications to be consumed on browsers, right? So then SAP have announced SAP Web Application Server, so which supports all the web calls, and then you have got incarnation of your new technologies like WebDynpro, ABAP, and BSP, which runs on browser, right? And then later point of time, you are also evaluating, evolving, and you're getting support for SAP Fiori. So we have got this gateway system. So this application layer is also evolving and also supporting new features, which we will be looking into this course. So we will be looking at SAP NetWeaver 7.5, what is new, what has been enhanced, and what capabilities this has. Okay, so NetWeaver 7.5, as I showed you quickly in a minute before, that our server is on SAP NetWeaver 7.5 running on SAP HANA database, and that becomes your ABAP on HANA. Okay, so your SAP application server runs natively on SAP HANA database, becomes ABAP on HANA. But this was not a simple journey or a simple story, because when SAP started the HANA journey, there was definitely some thought about it, that whether this HANA database connects well to your application layer or not. What will be the implications if I throw out my current database and bring in this new product called SAP HANA? Will this be beneficial for my company, right? So suppose SAP announced a new product called SAP HANA, and they say, wow, this is amazing, but will any company risk it out their own business if they simply replace their conventional database to SAP HANA? So as a SAP user, would you risk it out if SAP comes to you and say, hey, I have now a new HANA database, which is fast, and it's really fast. So would you just say, okay, replace my current data and database with SAP HANA? Would you do that? Of course, you would not. So companies to which SAP offered SAP HANA, they started a little bit curious, or they started curious about it, but at the same time they were worried, will their existing data will be hampered, will their existing business processes will be impacted because of this. So you have presentation, application, and database. So then SAP announced SAP HANA, but none of the customer agreed to replace, or in fact SAP did not want it to disrupt anything for the customers which they have. So SAP have told them, okay, don't worry, I want to showcase you the power of SAP HANA. You don't replace your current database and with current application layer, you let it be as it is, but you install SAP HANA side in a sideways. And that has become SAP HANA sidecar scenario, where you run your SAP system connecting to your current database which you are using already, replicate all the data from your current system to SAP HANA database, and just see if you get some performance improvement or not. Yeah, if you really get performance improvement or not. And this has changed the game. This really showed and proved the value of SAP HANA to all the SAP customers, and they've started using it. And when they realized the power of this in-memory database, they said, yes, wow, this is amazing. So can you now do something replacing my current database with SAP HANA? Is that possible? Yeah, so this was the question they started asking. Now the major advantage of using HANA was the read access. Okay, read access was fast. Okay, and it was amazingly blazing fast. Yeah, so what SAP have done, SAP have first announced with SAP NetWeaver 3.7.3. Okay, SAP NetWeaver 7.31 onwards, SAP has announced that your HANA system can be connected to an ABAP system if your ABAP system is a BW system. Okay, if your ABAP system, your ABAP application server is a BW ABAP server, you can connect your SAP HANA database directly to it. Okay, so now you can run your SAP HANA database directly on a BW ABAP system, and that has become SAP BW on HANA. Okay, so this was possible with NetWeaver 7.31 onwards, that your SAP system, ABAP system, which is a BW ABAP system, can run natively on SAP HANA as a primary database. In the old scenario, it was running as a secondary database. You were replicating same data to HANA and seeing the power of it. Yeah, but then with 7.31, if BW on HANA, it was possible to run your BW ABAP system natively on HANA database as a primary database. That become BW on HANA. And then later point of time, they have announced that SAP ABAP server, any application server ABAP, can run natively on SAP HANA database. From which version? Can anybody guess? From which version of SAP NetWeaver version it's possible to run SAP HANA as a primary database, replacing the current database with SAP HANA? Yes, you're right, Sridhar. It's SAP NetWeaver 7.4 onwards. You can now replace your current database with SAP HANA database and run it as a primary database. 7.4 onwards, guys. So this was one major announcement with SAP 7.4. You can now run your HANA DB. On top of it, you can run your ABAP application, any ABAP application server if you're on NetWeaver 7.4. And this has become ABAP on HANA.
Yeah, Anubhav, hello.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, this is Mohan. I think Max database is also a HANA database. Because they have not named it as a HANA database. When Vishal Sikka joined SAP, then he renamed that product and he enhanced that product.
No. I will tell you the capability of what has been there in MaxDB, and what are those capabilities which were used. So now I will come to that point. So just allow me to come to that point. You will understand what capability of MaxDB
capability may be different, but SAP has enhanced that Max database and it has renamed it. If you'll go to Wiki also, or you will go to SAP also.
I will explain you when we will look at evolution of SAP HANA, what was the MaxDB concept used in SAP HANA DB. MaxDB is actually a conventional RDBMS system where your data store is done at the hardest level, but in SAP HANA, all the database data is kept in the RAM. Okay, so that's one major difference between traditional database and in-memory database called SAP HANA. And then for backup and restore purpose, the MaxDB was used. Its disk storage was used for backup and restore purpose. So I will come to that when we will look at architecture of SAP HANA in our introduction of HANA unit. So that time it will be more clear to you. Okay, so please allow me to reach to that level. Hopefully it will clarify this doubt as well. Okay, great. So now we have SAP NetWeaver 7.4. With the help of that, now I can connect my SAP HANA DB on top of application server ABAP directly. That becomes your ABAP on HANA. Now this brings or this opens up a lot of opportunity for you. Opportunities to now perform your complex calculation logic directly at the database level. And why we do that? Because this is a very powerful unit. And this powerful unit, you will understand in a minute what is so powerful about this unit. What is the advancement which is there done by SAP in this unit, which brings it, which makes it possible to perform calculations much faster. So for that to explain, let me quickly go on and ask you one question to all the ABAPers. Can you tell me the database table name which stores the sales document information? Sales order header table.
Yeah, BBAK.
Perfect. VBAK table. And what is the database table for items?
Yeah, BBAP.
Perfect. Great. So now let's imagine I would like to store the data for my sales order document, and I'll store it like sales order type, OR, and then my sales partner, let's say H101 ship to party, H102 sold to party, company code, distribution channel, all this information I'm storing, sales organization, all that I'm storing in my typical database. So this data is typically stored in a row format in a typical database table, in the row format and consecutive memory locations like this. Now, similarly, if you imagine, let's say you don't have two tables, then imagine this is stored, consecutively like this. So all your data records like sales order item 10, material MAT 1, and then its quantity 10, unit is EA, price is let's say 560 euros. All that is stored, let's say, in the database like this. Now, what happens if I change this quantity value? Can anybody guess? What happens behind the scenes if you change this quantity value in your sales order and saves it back? What do you think what will happen behind the scenes? System will just create a replica of the same record and it changes the quantity. So whenever you change the quantity, system has to reload, or it has to again store the same record with all the values with just changed quantity. Why? Because it also keep track of versions. So now if I want to, I have a compliance requirement that who changed this quantity, right? So SAP system has a concept of DocuStore, where basically it identifies the change document and identifies who has made change to what value at what time. So it replicates, even though one single field out of your, let's say, 350 fields or 380 fields changes in this document store, basically for sales document, all the 380 fields are replicated once again in database with one changed field, and a change document is created behind the scenes. Now somebody have done some engineering here, and they break it down, these tables now, to two tables. So you have one header table and one line item table, which actually simplifies this little bit. So now up to here, all the sales order data, what you have it, this is being replicated to a header table, and then you have an items table which has the sales order items table, which you then kind of now relating to a different structure. So these two structures are now kind of related to the foreign key relationship. Now if you change the quantity, only material data is being replicated. So this way you will save little bit of memory, but still the problem remains same. Your change document, the size is too big. Now similar to this, if you have scheduling data for line item, because since your header is changing, then your line item also would change, right? So you would have then scheduling data and time scheduling data for each of these line items that would also subjected to a change. Now, handling all this change management in a transactional manner was a big task. So imagine your inventory documents, your other purchase order, purchase requisitions. Similar to this, any single change happens, it replicates all the fields, creates a change document. So more and more data storage space is required for this kind of architecture to store the data. Point one, tracking of changes would also lead to some more memory consumptions, and this becomes pretty complex when it comes to also managing your transactions. So if you want to lock lock your database tables, then you have to apply a lock on header level, on item level, and of course at sub item level also. So locking, so you will hear people talking in production, my table got locked, my record got locked. Okay, go to SM12 and remove this locking. This has become a very cumbersome architecture over a period of time. And also, of course, you need more and more memory space to manage these changes, to store the change documents. And that was the biggest disadvantage of this mechanism where you store the data in raw format. Correct. And also, nevertheless, on top of this, you will see SAP customers and partners would extend these existing structures to, let's say, adding a custom field to Mara table, adding a custom field to your VBAC table using append structure concepts. So those who are a BAPper, you will all know that there's a concept of append structure. You can add Z fields to the existing database tables based on your custom implementation. So that would lead to additional overhead on the system. And similarly to if your table has too many columns and you're firing a query on the database table with some non-key columns, then your performance will be bad. So what you do, you create additional secondary indexes to also improve your performance. So a lot of secondary indexes which your SAP will ship you, considering that these will be the priority columns, and lots of secondary indexes, Z indexes you would create on top of these database tables, which would also replicate kind of your column which you are planning to search, and an additional row index which holds the row number to which it points, just like your book index. So we all know indexes in general. They will store the data in a simplified table, in a short table, with the column which you considered for index plus a row number to which the row will point you to. Correct. So that would also an additional overhead for storage, and this whole system becomes so complex and complex over a period of time, which would lead to performance issues when you're reading the data, of course. Now suppose in this kind of a row store, if you want to read, I will fire a query just to read my total quantity of sales orders. Yeah, if this is my select query, then what would you do? You have to traverse throughout these rows like this. You find a quantity here, let's say 10 for material 1, and then again you find another quantity 20 and 30 and so on for a given sales order. So you are anyways traversing throughout the entire set of columns line by line. Yeah, so that's the biggest disadvantage. Your performance will get a hit when you are aggregating the data. Aggregation means you are summing up the data, you are calculating averages, you are getting also trying to get the maximum value for a particular column value, you're getting minimum value, you're counting the number of records. These are all aggregations on a database level. So if you apply any aggregation to be done on the database, then your database has to do a lot of work traversing through all the records line by line, because they are stored in a consecutive memory locations. It has to traverse through it, pick up the corresponding column, then adds it into a buffer, and then next again it adds it into that buffer and calculates and gives you the value, which is actually required for your analytical query. Yeah, your all your analytics. For example, I want to know in the month of March how many laptops my company have sold. Yeah, in the month of December, how many insurance policies my company have sold. So with that, I can also plan a prediction for future. I can see in future, in next year, December, if this year my endowment plant was sold about 20 endowment plants and 30 term plans, then probably it would be somewhere around this itself in my next year as well. So all your analytics are also built on such aggregations. And for to calculate these aggregation faster, what we used to do in traditional architecture, we used to also store now these quantities or these values in a separate database table. like this. Now I get all the sales order quantities even in a separate database table. And then to calculate aggregation, to avoid this row traversal, I used to now fire a sum query on this table, which is an aggregated table. So this was a complex architecture which you have in your traditional ERP system, which would lead to an overhead on system. Yeah. So this is an aggregate table on which now you will fire a query to calculate total of quantity sold for a particular product. Yeah. So this was your traditional architecture with your conventional database system. And additionally, these traditional database management system called DBMS, be it an Oracle, be it MaxDB, Sybase DB, all these databases store the data in a hard disk, HDD. Okay. Now in computer architecture, we all know that in a typical computer, you have CPU, central processing unit, and then you have a read access memory RAM, and finally you have a hard disk where your data is persisted. Now these hard disks are built by cylinders, so they are actually mechanical device. So if you look at and open up a hard disk, you will find basically a tape, magnetic tapes, or kind of mechanical device where it stores the data on hard disk cylinders. And to access this data, the hard disk has to do a lot of work and pull the right set of data and returns it to the RAM. And CPU talks to this RAM directly. Okay, so now CPU talks to this RAM, and even the computing is not done on the RAM. Computing is done by CPU by loading this data from the RAM to its internal registers. So those who are from computer science background or electronics background, we have a concept called microprocessors. 8084 IC if you learned in your electronics days. So can anybody guess what is the address bit size of a 8084 microprocessor? Engineering students, anybody? What is the size of address bus in 8084 IC? Do you remember your engineering days? By any chance, 8084 IC? Everybody have learned this microprocessor subject. 8-bit was the data bus actually. So data bus size was 8-bit for this processor, and for address bus it was 16-bit. Perfect answer, Subodh. So address bit size was 16-bit. Now what does it mean? It means that I can connect up to how big memory I can connect to this processor, this microprocessor. What is the maximum size of memory I can connect to this particular processor? It is 2 raised to power the address bus size basically. Okay, 2 raised to power 16. I don't know how to write now 16. 2 raised to power 16. So that is the maximum size of memory you can connect to this processor. Okay, that is the uh, maximum size of memory you can attach to this microprocessor. And then you saw 8085 IC, 8086, and then we got first generation processors P1, P2, P4. I remember I used to work on assembly unit for Pentium 4 processors, and it was amazingly fast when I got my first PC on P4. And then we got Celeron series, and then we have got dual core processor for the first time, and then we have quad core processor. And now in your mobile device, you have octa core processors also available. So that's a hardware advancements happening in industry. Okay, now this hardware advancement and reduction in memory prices. So I remember my first memory, 256 megabyte of RAM I purchased in 3,000 Indian bucks. Yeah. So now you see you will get 16 GB pen drive at a cost of like about 600 bucks, Indian bucks, right? So that's the reduction in the memory size or memory cost, as well as improvement in the CPU capability of doing processing, increasing also the capability for operating systems or kernels installed on the CPU. So now you have 64-bit operating systems which can process multiple instructions faster and faster, can do parallel operations on multi-core CPUs very well. Yeah. So this is the advancement which has happened in the software industry in general, in terms of CPU, in terms of reducing the memory cost, and in terms of also increasing the bit size for operating systems. So that has brought a new concept called in-memory database. What is in-memory database? You don't keep the data in the hard disk. Instead, you will keep all your data in the RAM. Now you'll say, Anubhav, are you crazy? What are you talking about? Because RAM is a flash memory. The moment your computer goes away, or if I unplug my power from computer, whatever data is there in the RAM goes away. Are you crazy? You are going to run my whole enterprise on a RAM? Are you crazy? What will happen if somebody unplugs the device? What will you do? So for that, we have an arrangement done. We will still have hard disk connected, and on timely basis, on save point basis, we keeps collecting the data into this hard disk. We keep storing the backup of this data into hard disk. In case of a disaster situation, we can roll back the backup from hard disk and reload into the RAM, which will take some time for resume your system, but still you can have this possibility to gain the performance. If you keep all the data in the RAM, yes, that's called HANA recovery, absolutely. And that's what exactly I was talking about. That's the MaxDB concept. So MaxDB concept allows you to work, or this MaxDB was plugged with SAP HANA to work as a backup and recovery. And this is what we will learn also when we will look at the database architecture in the next unit. I will show you the database architecture for HANA DB. That time you will understand what is this permanent store or a backup and recovery store, and that's your MaxDB concept used in SAP HANA. So all your data is kept in the RAM, and now it's possible to load this data in the CPU register faster because the bottleneck of having hard disk and RAM has been removed. Hard disk is only used for backup purpose, and you can keep all the enterprise data in the RAM, which increase significantly the power of processing, or the loading of data increases. And now the new bottleneck is between the RAM and the CPU. Now in the CPU, once your data is loaded, you have multi-core processors which can do massive parallel operations together to speed up or gain the performance. And that's what your SAP HANA is. SAP HANA is an in-memory database. This is one hardware advancement. These are all the hardware advancements which makes it possible
Yeah,
for
Anu,
SAP HANA. Yes, please.
yeah, no, yeah, I have a doubt here.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
you told that in HANA, all the data will be stored in RAM, correct?
Correct.
So, if you'll go to in my current client scenario, I'm telling.
Mhm.
So we have a 8 GB RAM, okay, in my production system.
In your
So
SAP
it's a
HANA system?
it's not SAP HANA system.
Okay.
Okay. So if he will migrate to HANA,
Mhm.
so that means the customer has to spend in hardware also. So he has to
Absolutely.
upgrade their RAM also, correct?
Absolutely. Not the RAM. Basically, he need to buy this in-memory computing engine, which is a complete box. So that's why. Can you tell me the full form for SAP HANA? Anybody?
Yeah, it's in yeah.
No? SAP HANA, HANA. What is the full form?
High processing analytic.
Incorrect answer. High performance. Perfect answer, Subodh. High performance analytical appliance. Now look at this answer. Look at this word called appliance. Why it's called appliance? Why not database? Because it is not just a software. It's an appliance. It's a combination of software plus hardware. Okay, so you cannot simply install your SAP HANA in a normal computer which you have it in your client system today. It doesn't even work. HANA only support Linux as an operating system. So you have to go with subscription, or you have to go with a plan where you have to go to SAP, or your partner or company who provides you SAP HANA installation. They would do it together with the hardware. So you have to select SAP HANA box, and it comes into t-shirt sizes like XL, double XL. These are all the different sizes, and you have to also tell which operating system you want it. So till SAP HANA SP05, the only possible operating system on which you can install HANA was SUSE Linux. Okay, SUSE Linux. But from SP05 onwards, you can install SAP HANA also on Red Hat Linux. 100% certification question for SAP HANA. Okay, 100% certification question. So it's not like you buy a computer yourself and you say, okay, install HANA in this. I have 80 GB of RAM. No, it will not work. It only works with the combination of hardware and software. When your company go with SAP HANA installation, they have to buy the required hardware as per the specification given by SAP, plus the HANA appliance software as well. Now, there's also a lightweight version which SAP released called HANA Express. Okay, this you can install in your computer. Okay, and that is covered in my next training, SAP HANA Access Programming, where we learn database server-side programming using HANA Access.js, server-side JavaScript. So if you're interested to how to build a server-side JavaScript programs, complete application coding using HANA Express as a native HANA Access Engine application, which runs completely inside a HANA DB. Okay, you can go and subscribe for this course. And in that, I have taught how to install SAP HANA on your Windows laptop also, considering required prerequisites are met, and that's called HANA Express Edition for you to experience the power of SAP HANA. But any implementation, if you look at in company, it comes with a package. Both software and hardware you have to purchase completely from scratch. It will not work with your current existing CPUs with howsoever GB RAM you have it. Hope that answer your question. Why it's called appliance? Why it's not called database? Hope that's clear to everybody. 100% certification question. From which SP onwards in SAP HANA you have, it is possible to install it on Red Hat? Answer should be SP5 onwards. You can install SAP HANA onto Red Hat Linux also from SP05 onwards. I will show you all the certification questions for SAP HANA as well as SAP ABAP on HANA. Okay, we will touch upon that in our course. Great, let's move on now. So now another advancement. So these are all about hardware and advancement. That's why it's called appliance, because hardware and software both. It's not like you can just take the software, install it anywhere where you will like, and it will work. No, it works with the combination. And combination of hardware has to be purchased. There are vendors who gives IBM or HP. These are all the vendors who provides you these ready to use boxes on which your HANA database can be installed based on the size which you want, how much is the capacity you need. Based on that, you have to choose the subscription for SAP HANA. But that is not the goal. I will not be covering of complete HANA implementation, database implementation in this course. That's not our goal. Our goal as an application programmer, as an ABAPer, what it means for you. Will your existing ABAP code works? Yes or no? And what can you improve? How can you improve? What are all the points or the places where you can improve? Yeah, and how can you build new dimension applications using when your company runs on S4 or it runs on HANA? Yeah. Now I will also touch upon S4 introduction. This course is not a complete S4 HANA implementation. If your expectation is for S4 implementation, please don't join this course. This is not for S4 HANA implementations. We will look at S4 CDS modeling, of course, in this course, but not S4 implementation. And also not HANA implementation as a database administrator. I will explain you the different roles used in the company as a HANA DB. So you can have HANA DBA role as a modeler role. You can have a HANA administrator role. You can have a BW developer role. You can have ABAP developer role. You can have HANA modeler role. These are different roles. Different things which as an HANA developer or HANA consultant you will work with, but that will be not our goal. Yes, I will cover HANA database architecture, usage of HANA, advancements of HANA, evolution of SAP HANA, HANA SQL scripting, but all from the developer perspective. And I will explain you clearly the roles and the usage for the same. Okay, now moving on, what is the software advancement? So we saw the problem of conventional row store and the problem of replicating the data. Whenever there is a change in a small field, all the database fields gets replicated. You need to manage all this mammoth of multiple secondary indexes, separately create aggregate tables to speed up your read for analytical tools, for calculating the aggregates or calculating analytics. You need to separately store your aggregated results. Yeah, so these are all the disadvantages of this approach. So what do we do to solve this? We will break down this row store to a column store, and that's what HANA does. Every single column, what you see earlier was stored in a row form, now gets stored in a column form. So what you do is you have now new column store concept in SAP HANA, which makes it possible for you to achieve a lot of benefits. Let me tell you the benefits of it. So suppose you want to store a sales order data once again. So I have sales order type OR. So I don't store now OR for every order separately. I just store order type, unique order type in this column store. And then similarly, sales organization uniquely in this column store. Yeah, like this. And then similarly, I will store quantity also for my material like this. I break it down every single column to a tiny table. Okay. Every single column of my row store gets break down to a tiny database, tiny table, and every single column represents a tiny table, and that's called column store. Now, let me tell you the first advantage. If there is a change, let's say in the material quantity, would you need to touch other tables? If there is a change in the material quantity, would you need to touch other tables? Of course not. You will just go and change this particular table data. If your quantity is being changed to 20 to let's say 10. So how the row is constructed? It's constructed based on index. Okay. So along with this data, it also stores the index, the row number, which points to the data of the row, which I will show you in my next discussion. So how the data is actually reconstructed. So what happens? Let's say for first record, your order type is 1. So it stores like in first row order type is 1, third row, sixth row, and eighth row order type is OR. For sales organization, let's say in my first row, my fifth row, and third row, the order type is 001, or the sales organization 001. The quantity in my first row, okay, for my quantity, let's say in my first row, my third row, and my sixth row, the quantity is 10. Yeah? So that's what it represents. So 1, I will just put the row index where my quantity is 10 in terms of row index. So let me just quickly do it a little bit here. And 3, 5. Let's say this is an example. So now for 20, let's say it is stored in 4, 6, 9. Now what happens? I change the quantity for my first row from 10 to 20. What will I do? I'll just simply remove this one from here and put this one here. Okay, that's what I will do. So this way I am just changing this index, which is pointing or used for reconstruction of my row. Just this index is changed, and HANA use something called insert only approach. Okay, so it insert always the record with latest timestamp, and the old record with old timestamp gets invalidated. So when you fire a read statement or select query once again, it returns you the record with latest timestamp. So it follows insert only approach. So it will still keep one over here, with which you can still track what was the status. So earlier quantity in the first row was 10, which has now been changed to first row with 20. So with that, you are also able to track the versions, because this record will be there with old timestamp. Let's say at 10:20 morning, and now a user comes in at 12 p.m. and changes this value in the first line item 10 to 20, the quantity. So what HANA does, it insert another record, or basically another cell in this column table with new index and 20 as the quantity, and a new timestamp gets appended. And when you write a select query to read the data, it only returns the value with latest timestamp. So these are all the software advancements which SAP HANA have done. So first advancement is column store, which makes it possible now to also track the version with return insert only approach. So in the insert only approach, it will return the result based on timestamp, the latest changes based on timestamp. And also you can track the versions, basically, because you have multiple timestamp stored containing all the versions. This has simplified the architecture a lot and also reduced the storage cost. Why? I'll tell you the reason for that. You can also compress this data. So you see 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 is the quantity. It is stored only once. Earlier in row store, if you look at, if 10 is the quantity, it was stored here also, here also. So you had duplicate data in consecutive memory locations stored. But here now you have no duplication, so you will get higher compression, less storage requirement. Hence, you can still accommodate this data in your RAM with optimally utilizing your memory. So RAM can be used to store the data,
Yeah, Anubhav, I have a
yes,
question here.
with higher compression.
Yeah,
Yes, please.
yeah, you are telling here, you are explaining us that the data is getting stored as column here, okay?
Correct.
So in traditional database, in traditional SAP database, the data will be stored in BVAP, VVAP. So that means you are telling when we'll migrate to HANA, those traditional database tables won't be available.
It will be available, but the storage type, the way database manages this data will be changed. Okay, let me show you in the system now. So here this system is already migrated to HANA DB. I will go to the SAP HANA DB and let me open a very popular database table. Can you tell me the business partner table name in SAP? Anybody?
Yeah, BU 000.
Perfect. So let's go to that. And now let me check technical settings and go to DB specific properties, and you see automatically when I migrated this system to SAP HANA DB, it has changed the storage type as column store. Now, does
Okay,
that
okay.
mean your table is no more available? It is available, but the way database system organizes the data, it is in the column store format. Yeah. So with this, you get better performance. And now, guess what? Every column acts like an index, right? See, this is how your index looks like. Your data at front of that row number, correct? So no need of additional secondary indexes required anymore. Let me go to the indexes of this BUT 000. Since it's stored now in a column store, go to indexes. Let's look at it. So you see there's a concept of database specific indexes, and some of these indexes now no more be relevant for the database. So let me just quickly show you that some of these indexes will no more be created in the database. So I go to utilities, database object, and display. So you will see I showed you just now there were multiple indexes in the SE11 transaction, and not all the indexes will be replicated to HANA DB because you don't need them anymore in the column store. So need for storing additional indexes went away. That was the another advantage of using HANA database as a database of choice. So your storage is being optimized, your backup management, or basically your change management, has been optimized, your compression can be improved, your speed increases because the data is stored in the RAM. You can also have aggregations calculated on fly. Can you tell me how, if I want a total of my quantity, how many rows I have to travel now? How many rows I have to now travel? Earlier in the row store, I have to crawl through entire table, starting from first to the last record to calculate the total. Yeah, but now in this case, you have this as a one structure, loop at it, just calculate the total, done. Aggregates can be built on fly. No more deep aggregation tables are required when you use the column store. That's the software advancement in SAP HANA, guys. So we saw it's an appliance, not just hardware, but software advancement also. Hope this is clear. Row store versus column store, traditional data structure to SAP HANA data structure, and that's what also done in SAP S4 HANA. SAP S4 HANA is a new dimension business suite. It's an innovation in which all the data is kept in the column store, because the primary database by default is SAP HANA. In SAP S4 HANA, that's the major advantage. Another advantage, it is its core has a capability to connect to sensors. You can connect it to sensors, and from the sensors you can collect the data. That makes it possible to enable IoT scenarios, Internet of Things, where you can sit and you can collect the sensor data, and based on that you can trigger something, you can trigger the events in the system. You have simplified data model. All your multiple tables can be also replaced to a single database table, because now you don't store it anymore in a consecutive memory locations. Yeah, so these are all the advantages. Of course, this course we will not have a deep dive inside our S4 HANA. Remember, once again, I will not be covering S4 HANA migration or S4 HANA related concept, except CDS concept of S4 HANA. Okay, so that's about ABAP on HANA. That's about basically introduction of why SAP HANA is a primary database for ABAP system. Yeah, hope that's clear to all of you. How does it helps us? Now, of course, in order to, would you get the improvement immediately? There are of course transparent optimizations. Once you migrate to SAP HANA database, you will get them out of box because now your data is kept in the RAM, and this throughput will increase. Rather than reading from hard disk, you would definitely read it from RAM, and this transition time between hard disk and RAM is now nothing. Only you have RAM to CPU, which definitely gives you some performance boost without even doing anything. But will you be able to leverage the full power of SAP HANA with this? Is that possible? Just by replacing your conventional database with SAP HANA DB, will you be able to get performance improvement immediately? Yes or no? Anyone, what do you think? If I just throw away my current database, plug HANA DB, would you definitely get the performance improvement? Of course not. Why? Why? What is the reason? Let me tell you a simple scenario. So typically, when you write a classical report in ABAP, what you do? A classical report in ABAP, what we do? In step number 1, we will write your selection screen. Yeah. So you'll write parameters, select options. In step number 2, in start of selection or top of page, you will write a write statement to give a header. Then you will write start of selection, you will write select query, select star from DB table into internal table, yeah, into ITAB. And in step number 3, you will loop at ITAB. And in this loop, basically, you will also perform some calculations. Yeah. So you will do all your data manipulation in this. Over here, if you want to do some conversions, for example, currency conversions, all that you will do it here in the system. If you want to also calculate aggregates, you, let's say, total number of items or total amount or total currency. If you want to do that, all that you will do here. And then you will do probably your end of loop. Yeah, that is what you will typically do in your report program. And then you will write the results on a list, or you can give it to your ELV. Yeah. Now, what happens behind the scenes when you do this? Let's look at in our 3T architecture, what happens behind the scenes when you do this. So you have all your data stored in SAP HANA, you have your application layer and presentation layer. So in this case, what you're doing is you are telling database select star from DB. So if you are using Mara table, how many columns your Mara table has? Anybody? Do you remember how many columns your Mara table has? About 200 and something. So this is not a ECC system, it's pure SAP NetWeaver system, so I can't show you that. So it's about 350 or let's say 250 columns in Mara, right? What it does, it pulls all the columns. This is what typically lazy developers would do. It pulls all the columns, and believe me guys, this is the biggest mistake you do as an ABAPer if you're running on a HANA. Select star, it is worst. It is worst for SAP HANA database. Why? Because it has to now traverse through all the tables, all the tiny tables in a column store, and reconstruct your record. In a row store, this type of read is much better because you have data stored at consecutive memory locations. Simply it will read through complete row, complete crawl through complete memory location, gives you data immediately. But when it comes to SAP HANA, the data stored in RAM in compressed format, first it has to decompress the tables. It has to now go for first row here to this table, then for first row this table, then for first row this table, and then for first row this table. And similarly, it has to do for all the rows one by one and traversing through all tables one by one to reconstruct the row. So this is another disadvantage of using HANA. Select star, you're burning your hands if you're doing select star. So these type of things we will learn in our course, what to do, what to not do. Never do a select star from table in when you're running on SAP HANA. Okay. Never do that, because this is going to lead to performance issues for you, because it's a column store and reconstruction of your record is costly. Now you will say, Anubhav, why will I not do? I can do it. I will go with row store only then. Now tell me one thing, do you need always all 290 columns of Mara table in your report program? Has anybody ever written a report out of all the ABAPers sitting here where you have processed or used all 290 columns of Mara? Anybody? Did you ever do that? That you selected select star from Mara and you used all columns in your report? Did you do that? Nobody. then it's just laziness which makes it possible for us to do a select star.
No.
So never do that. Nobody does it. Of course, nobody. I myself have never done in my 14 years of ABAP career. But the funny thing, even I do select star. Okay. So never do it when you're running on SAP HANA because it's a column store. It's going to take more time to reconstruct, decompress the data and reconstruct the rows. It's going to hit the performance badly. And that's what our goal in this course. We learn these things by understanding database level, what database, how it is functioning, what can give you better performance and what will hamper the performance. And of course, techniques which will help you to improve performance. That will be the goal of our this course. So that was first disadvantage of this programming model. Reading the data, and then what you're doing after reading all the data, you are manipulating. Where are you manipulating? This code will run. Where is your ABAP program runs? Anybody? In which layer your ABAP program runs? Any ABAPer? In which layer your ABAP program runs? In application server, absolutely. So what is the concept in ABAP which runs or which is responsible for running ABAP program? Anyone? What is the concept which runs your report program? Any ABAPer? ABAP training. In my ABAP training, I already taught that.
So
No.
first it can fetch from the database layer, that it will reach to the application layer. Then after the presentation layer, it will display all the results.
Correct. Which concept of application layer runs your ABAP program? I'm asking that. Nobody remembers. The concept is called driver program. If you have gone through ABAP training properly, there is a concept of driver program which runs your ABAP program. Okay, so driver program runs this code actually. There's no magic. There is somebody who's executing it, and that's called driver program. So here, if you look at this pyramid, you will understand that this thing represents more calculation done on an application layer. You see, it's bigger in volume, and this is low in volume in database layer. Are you leveraging the power of HANA? Are you leveraging the power of parallelization? Your company have spent millions of dollars to get this HANA implemented, which is multi-core CPUs, keeping all the data in RAM, which can be used for massive parallel processing, which is storing all the data in database, which can do all what your application layer can do because it has power of processing. It is a big box with lots of CPU connected together, lots of data kept in the RAM, very close to the CPU. Now, even you're pulling all the data in application layer, which has less memory, which is an application server ABAP, you're doing more processing in application layer. Of course, you would not get performance boost. When will you get performance boost? Anybody? What do you think? When can you best leverage SAP HANA? What you need to do to basically leverage the power of SAP HANA? What will you do? Perfect answer. You will flip this pyramid. Okay, what will you do? You will flip this game and you will do a code push down. You will run more and more processing logic, your conversions, your manipulations, aggregations, and all this what you were doing in application layer, do a code push down to database. Okay, calculate these things in database because HANA can do this beautifully. That's what HANA is built for. And only pull the final result to application layer, what you want to display to the user. This way, what you will also save is network latency. Imagine if you have to read all Mara records, okay? Somebody gives you a report program, okay? Your manager comes to you and tell me total stock quantity, okay? Or total quantity which I have it today for all materials. What will you write? You will say select star from Mara, loop at table, sum the quantity. I think it is MEINS column in Mara table and loop. Yeah, that's what you're doing, which means you looped all the records of Mara, huge volume of data. See the arrow symbol, huge volume of data, looping here, which means processing in application layer. Yeah, and then printing the result. What if I flip the pyramid? I will do a code push down. I will tell the database, if my database is capable, I will calculate the aggregate on Mara, get me the max or get me the count or total amount of MEINS. And then your result set is small. You will just get the total count. Network latency also improves.
Yeah, Anubhav.
Less data is transferred from HANA to AS. Code push down. This is called code to data paradigm, and we will learn these techniques in our course, code to data paradigm, how to achieve it. There are lots of techniques to do that. Yes, please go ahead with your questions.
Yeah, no, sorry. So yeah, my question might be some silly question.
No problem.
Okay, so you are telling by code will do the HANA database will process everything. Then in architecture, why do we need because HANA database server itself is doing everything. Then why do we need an application server, and why the customer will invest on an application server?
Not HANA application
It's
server,
not needed.
SAP application server. Very good point. Very good point. I will say remove it. You can build complete application logic. Okay, complete application logic on HANA. There is a concept called access. Some people call it extra small. It's called extended services. It's a lightweight application server which comes built in SAP HANA system. Okay, it's called extensible services. Okay, access. With this, you can push down all the calculation. It can do all what your application server can do. It's a lightweight application server which comes along with HANA DB, and that's what called native HANA application development. So if you've heard about native HANA application development, that's what it is. You don't need any AS. Now, why companies need AS is because of customizing. Your people are already using application server. You have lots of customizing. You have lots of data models. You still need data dictionary concept. Somebody should be able to create the database table. Can you remove it today? Lot of ABAP consultants. You have a big team in your company. You want to write reports. You have lots of custom development done on application layer. Can you remove it? Is it possible? Lots of custom code you have done in your company. Can you remove it? You cannot, right? You are in a 20-year licensing contract, or let's say 50-year licensing contract. Can you throw this out and rebuild everything in Access?
No.
If you can, go ahead.
Anubhav,
If you're ready to do this investment, go ahead. No problem.
Yeah, Anubhav, we have one confusion here.
Yes.
You are telling SAP application server. Okay.
Yes.
So that means you are telling ABAP stack. I think you are talking about ABAP stack and Java stack here.
No, I am talking about your custom
So-
development, which you have done, your custom database tables and everything which you have done, your customizings, all your programming, all your custom code which you have written here, and that's an ABAP code actually, right? And this you have stored it here. You are managing all your data dictionary SE11 using this ABAP application layer. So this ABAP application layer offers you a lot, WebDyn Pros, right? All that is features of SAP application server. Now, if your company is ready to say, I am ready to remove it, whatever you've done here in ABAP has to thrown out, and that has to be rebuilt using Access. If a company do this, not required.
But
Yes, standard
even
functionality.
when you write a CDS views, it also generates a data dictionary object. Is that
Correct.
right?
But that is a code push down in SAP HANA. When we do a CDS view, what exactly it does? The moment you activate a CDS view, of course you will build it here, but the moment you activate, it creates a view in underlying HANA database. The definition, okay? The definition of view.
One basic question: how do you differentiate OpenSQL and HANA SQL?
OpenSQL and native SQL. Okay, I will come to that
And native
question.
SQL, I mean.
Absolutely. So this creates a database view, point one. Okay. Now, what is the difference between native SQL and OpenSQL? Very good question. So first, I think it's clear now, all of you, what is code push down, and we will learn these technique. And CDS is one of the technique to achieve code push down. Don't talk too much about CDS right now, but because there are a lot of newcomers, those who just know ABAP. Okay, they just started with their career on ABAP and they even don't know what is CDS. So if you talk these advanced things, it will be difficult for them to understand. We will go with very basic and understand these things. But now question 2, what is OpenSQL and native SQL? Now, before I answer this question, let me explain what is OpenSQL and what is native SQL. Okay, because some of you may not be knowing that. So we have presentation, we all know that we have application and we have database. Now suppose you have Oracle database. Okay. Now I write a report program and that runs in my application layer. Okay. So now what you're doing, you're writing a program. Okay. So you're writing a program here and you're saying select star from DB table. Or let's say you are writing a program on Mara. So you say Matna and then you will say space MEINS. Okay. Or you will use, let's say, some columns, MAKTL, MAKTX, all the different columns maybe you are using for Mara table. This is the report program you have written. What is three-tier architecture? Database, application, presentation. Why it is like this? Can anybody tell me why three-tier? Why not two-tier? What is the advantage of three-tier architecture? Anyone? Why three-tier? Anyone? Why three-tier? Anybody? Any ABAPer? Plug and play. Perfect answer, Rahul. Today you're running on Oracle database. Tomorrow you can say throw this out. Throw this out. Plug another database. And let's say this is now my MaxDB, or it could be HANA-DB. Okay. And now I migrate all the data from here to here, which is a job of database administrator, not as an ABAPer job. Okay. Once this is done, I connect now to this database as my primary database. Okay. You have written a report program. Now tell me one question, all the ABAPers, is this valid now? Is this ABAP program valid? Will it run? One person is saying no. What about other answers?
I think it should run. If it is a plug-in,
It will run.
plug and play, it should run.
It will run. I'll tell you why. Because this program is written in OpenSQL. This is called OpenSQL. In OpenSQL, your application server understands this code. And what we have in application server is called a database abstraction layer. Okay. Database abstraction layer. Now what this layer does technically, this layer is a very powerful layer. Okay. And what is the feature of this layer? This layer converts your OpenSQL to native SQL. Okay. Now it knows which database I am connected to. If I am connected to Oracle, what it does, this query which you have written, this query, if you directly give to your database console in database, Oracle DB, it will not work. It will give you syntax error, because in Oracle, if you want to write a query and multiple columns, you have to put a comma between columns. Otherwise, it gives you an error. Okay, very important. It gives you an error in database. So this query, as it is, if you submit to DB, it will not work. This DB abstraction layer converts your OpenSQL statement to native SQL statement. Okay. Now, tomorrow when you change the database from Oracle DB to MaxDB, this database abstraction layer now knows that I'm connected to MaxDB. And it knows how to convert this statement to MaxDB statement. That concept is called database abstraction concept in SAP. Okay. In fact, this is there in majority of the application server in ERP companies where you have three-tier architecture. It converts automatically to the underlying database a native SQL statement which your database can understand. Now, hope this is clear to all of you. What is OpenSQL and what is native SQL? This is what is covered in my basic ABAP training. So I am giving ABAP training since last 20 years. And this is what my first topic when I teach SAP R3 architecture. Native SQL, because database don't understand directly what you're typing here. And this is the reason for this is very simple, guys, because you have to support plug and play. To support plug and play, you have to abstract your reports from native code. Okay, and this layer of abstraction converts it to the native code based on required statement which is needed by database, so that database can understand that. Okay, so this is the difference. Now I'm saying code push down. Now what do I mean? Write some code in database. Okay, write some code in database. Now you will say, Anubhav, if you write that code which is in ABAP as a native SQL here, what will happen? It's a risk. It's a very big risk. If you do that, what will happen? The moment you now change from HANA DB to some other DB, you cannot go. Or if you go, then this program will fail. That's why we recommend to not write native SQL statement. Then then you will say, Anubhav, how will I do a code push down then? How will I write my select query which runs in my HANA DB? Yeah. One option is you can do code push down with many techniques. This is OpenSQL is not just a technique, not just a select query allows you to do code push down. Okay, you have lot of techniques like CDS views. You can also create in HANA natively information model like an attribute view, which we will learn in our course, and that attribute view you can expose to ABAP. Okay, the attribute view runs natively in HANA. It gives you the data. That data you consume in ABAP. We will learn those techniques. Similarly, you can create a CDS view, which ultimately does a code push down to SAP HANA database by creating an underlying view in SAP HANA DB, which is also code push down. Another option, you have ADBC, ABAP database connectivity. Another option, you have AMDP, ABAP managed data procedure, which is also used for code pushdown, where you can write SQL script code for SAP HANA. But remember, some of these features very specific to SAP HANA database. Then still, let's say your company decides to tomorrow switch to another database, remove the HANA DB, what will you do? So you can do this implementation under a body with the filter saying that if my database is HANA DB, run this code, which is advanced technique which we will learn in this course. If it is not HANA DB, run my existing OpenSQL code. Okay, so we will learn all these techniques and also separation using body implementation. How can you switch? And this body is automatically switchable based on input parameter called database type. So using that, it will switch to the if it's a HANA DB, it does a code push down. Otherwise, it runs it normally with other DB. Of course, you will not get performance improvement if you're not on HANA DB. Those features will be deactivated at runtime. Hope all of you clear what is OpenSQL, what is native SQL, what is code push down, and how can you do it. And of course, if you are using CDS views, guys, it works with all database. That's the main reason why we use CDS views over information model in HANA DB, because CDS view concept is used for code push down, irrespective whether you are on HANA DB or not on HANA DB. It creates the corresponding database view in SAP system, and that's an evolution of SAP NetWeaver system. We will learn all these evolutions step by step in all three directions, on all three layers, and we will understand how can it help us. Hope that answer your question for achieving code push down or code to data paradigm. Yeah. Any other questions? Anyone? Okay, so now what next? So we have learned about hardware and software advancements in SAP HANA, insert only approach, column store, all the data kept in the RAM, massive parallelization using multi-core CPUs connected together. No need of now, you don't need also this cumbersome storage. Yeah, because in row store you need this huge storage, also change document. Now everything broken down into tiny tables which are column stores, and then of course this gets the change document is also managed. No secondary index is required anymore. And then also your existing tables now, the way database manage them is a column store, not as a row store. Now what is a guideline for programmer is also never do a select star when your DB is SAP HANA DB. This will definitely hit the performance because decompression and reconstructing the row or the tuple would be costlier in a column store as compared to row store. There are also other guidelines between row store and column store. So let's have a quick look at in which case you should go with the row store and in which case you will go with column store. So if your database table is frequently modified, okay, if your database table is frequently modified, you should go with row store. Okay, you should go with row store. And if your read access is done on a transactional table, okay, so let me just clearly write the differences here. So if there is a table which is read less frequently, guys, okay, less frequently, you will go with row store, because your main purpose is to optimize the read, and HANA is best for that. Okay, so in that case you will go with row store. Okay, let me just organize it a little bit so that we can clearly write the differences. So I come here and put the column store on the right side. So if your table is read less frequently, you can go with row store. But if a table read access is done frequently, okay, go with column store. And that's what typically happens in case of all transactional tables. You would modify data less, but you would fire read access to read sales orders, purchase orders quite frequently. So all your master data and transaction tables should be ideally a good candidate for your column store. And all your data which is read less frequently, like org data, for example, or configuration data, you can go with row store. If the data size is high, okay, if your data volume is high, go with column store. Why? Reason is very simple, because whenever you change something, okay, it would lead to change document and more memory is required. Yeah, and adjustment of secondary indexes is required. Yeah, so that's again a disadvantage for transaction tables. Any change would lead to re-replication of all the fields. Even though one field is changed, re-replication of all field takes place, which is also a disadvantage in case of a row store. So if data volume is high, go with column store. It will also store it optimally by compressing. It will not restore every single value again and again. It will just store it uniquely and with the row index at which are all the different rows it is stored. Yeah, so that is another advantage of column store. You will get better compression rates. So transactional and master data should be a good candidate for the column store. But if the data volume is low, in that case, basically you can go with row store. So volume is low, you can go with row store. Now what next? If a table has less volume of data and modified so frequently, go with row store, because row store write performance is also better as compared to column store. Now what else? In which case you will go with row store? If you think that you're going to fire a select star, you cannot avoid it. Okay, go with row store, because select star performance is better in row store as compared to column store. So if all the columns are required to be read always, it could be a special case, not just Mara, maybe some other table where you need all the time all columns to be read, okay, requires to be read, then in this case do not use column store. Okay, you should not use column store in such cases where all the columns are required all the time to be read. Then it will be difficult for you. Another interesting fact for row versus column store: if you have less or if you have large number of unique values, okay, if you have large number of unique values, row store is better. Unique values in column, yeah, let's say if there is large number of unique values, for example material, so let's say mat1 in sales order data, do you think that every sales order will have different materials? Anyone? Do you think every sales order will have different material? Anyone? Do you think every sales order will use different material? Of course not. You will have sales orders. Let's say mat1 is used in sales order 1, 2, 10, 20, 30, 40. It's repeating. Yeah, it's repeating. Material is same material can be used in multiple sales orders. So it's not unique, right? Every sales order not have unique material, right? Like sales order 1 always has mat1, sales order 2 always has mat2, sales order 3 always has mat3. It could happen that sales order 1 has mat1, 2 also has mat1, because it's 1 to n. Yeah, so in that case you will, if there are large number of unique values, go with row store. But if there are less number of unique values, then go with column store, because in that case your compression is better. Because you see in this case mat1, mat2, mat3, mat4, only less number of unique values, less number of unique values, I can store it better in a column store as compared to row store. So if large number of unique values are there in a column, go with row store. If the data repeats again, okay, if it repeats again and again in a certain column, If you see it, material is repeating in every sales order item again and again. Of course, that's a good candidate for column store, because you will store that value only once with the indexes. You will not store it again and again into the table. So these are all the general guidelines when it comes to row versus column store. But in nature, the guidelines are less restrict. Okay, less restrict in case of row store. But if you need performance improvement, you should go with column store. And in general, master and transaction table, we usually decide to go as a column store. And how do we switch that? It's very simple. Go to your database table. So I just quickly once again connect to my server. Go to your database table. So let me just connect to my system. And then what I will do is I will show you in SE11. Now that is with the Wasim has a question that you told the write statement is better and better in row store, but in transaction tables we do write very frequently. So how do you cater to that need? I will tell you in the next session. We have a concept of P star table in SAP HANA which improves the write performance for us. Okay, and of course insert only approach will definitely improve the performance, the write performance also in SAP HANA, right? Because if you are inserting new record, you insert it, you don't find the old record somewhere in the table, you just simply go and insert with a new timestamp. So you are not going and deleting the existing data and then inserting a new data, right? So insert performance anyways improves it, correct? So let me just quickly go and show you in the table, as I showed you earlier, that we can have additional technical database specific settings where you can switch a row store table to a column store. But remember, it's a lot of work for database. When you switch a table from a row store to a column store, it's a lot of work for database. So do it at the time when your production is, or when your system is, less used. Yeah, like weekends or something. If you have decided to choose column store for your custom tables instead of a row store. It will not be done automatically when you migrate to HANA DB. You have to do it manually, switching here to database properties to column store and activate the table once again. This would lead to now column store. Now remember one important thing, after you switch to column store, switching back to row store is also possible, but that's a lot of work for a database. Okay. Now, here is a question from Shuryakant. It means that we have scope of creating table for column store and row store in HANA. However, writing the logic for different tables can write logic. You can write same logic. It doesn't matter between row store and column store. It's just the way database organize the data. Okay, that's the only thing. But your report program which you're writing, it won't change whether you are storing in row store format or column store format. It remains same. But yes, it's a recommendation that your master and transaction data should be stored in column store to leverage the power of SAP HANA. And the guidelines I have already posted here, under which guidelines, what suits for you, which parameter. This is one guideline for you. You can decide based on this that whether you should switch to column store or not. Okay. In same program, can we write both logic? There is no logic difference basically between row store and column store actually. Okay. Now there's a question here from Subodh. Okay, this question is sent in private mode. I request you to please don't send questions in private mode. Please send it in the public mode so everybody can look at it. But anyways, I will read out. What is CDS view in ABAP? And what is CDS view in HANA? I have a lot of confusion. Please explain. So CDS view in ABAP, if you are an ABAP developer, you will use CDS view in ABAP, of course. Okay. Now CDS view in ABAP, basically you create in an ABAP stack. But if you are using native HANA development, which I showed you in a minute some time back when there was a question, can we ignore this application server ABAP? Yes, you can, if you can migrate everything to Access. Okay, HANA Access. So when you are doing native HANA development, okay, one second. When you are doing native HANA development, guys, at that point of time, you would need HANA CDS. You would not need ABAP CDS because you don't even have an ABAP system. Okay, you don't even have an ABAP system. So when you don't have an ABAP system, how would you do a code push down? So for the code push down, when you are using native HANA development, you would use HANA CDS concept. But when you have an ABAP system and you want to do a code push down to SAP HANA DB, you will use ABAP CDS. It's just that you create the CDS view in ABAP stack and it gets created in HANA system, in HANA database. Okay. That's the difference between ABAP CDS and HANA CDS. We will not learn HANA CDS in this course. We will learn ABAP CDS in this course. HANA CDS will be taught in my next course of HANA Access Development. Okay. So if you subscribe my HANA Access Development course, that time you will learn HANA CDS. We will create information views in our current course, and it is not HANA CDS. HANA CDS is a different concept used in native HANA application development, not in ABAP on HANA concept. In ABAP on HANA, if you want to create any CDS, there is no HANA CDS. There is just called ABAP CDS, which indeed generates an underlying view in underlying database system. Okay. Okay. If you want to learn HANA CDS, please subscribe my course of HANA native HANA application development. In that, I've taught HANA CDS.
Yeah, well,
Yes, please.
one question. So today we are in, to take the scenario, today we are in ABAP and Business Suite and HANA.
Mhm.
And tomorrow we are migrating to S4 HANA.
Okay.
Is there any change in the development approach?
Absolutely, yes. You would do. If you don't want to change it, no problem. You will not then leverage the HANA power of HANA. You can still go ahead. Your existing report SQL program will still run. Make sure that you've done code inspector checks for variant DB, DB functional DB, which I will taught you in the course. So what does it mean for you as an ABAPA when your company deciding to go on HANA DB? But question remains same. You would get some benefits out of the box, some performance improvement out of the box, but will you really get every single benefit of SAP HANA? Of course not. Until you follow new approaches like CDS views, AMDPs, ADBCs, proxy objects, until you follow these approaches, which we will learn in this course, you will not get best benefit out of HANA DB or S4 HANA system. Hope that answer your question.
So here, see, I may be confusing here. I'm talking about two things. Both are HANA database.
Okay.
One is S4 HANA. Second one, before that is Business Suite and HANA.
Okay.
So my front end is ERP. There is no change in the ERP ECC component.
Okay. Mhm.
So if I'm moving from ECC and HANA to S4 and HANA,
Mhm.
is any change in the development approach, or
No.
still
There will not be, but yes, there is a functional approach change because in S4 HANA, the whole implementation is based out of a model company. Okay. Whole implementation is based on model company and best practices. Okay, let me tell you one example. In one of the area, I don't remember which area, they have 25 DB tables. In S4 HANA, when they moved in, they have simplified the database also. Okay, they have simplified the data architecture, and now that gets converted to one single DB table. So if you have fired a query on these tables, you of course have to change it now. So in S4 HANA, this is a simplified data model now, and whole implementation is based on a model company and SAP best practice scope. Okay, so based on what your company really need, they will activate scope items. S4 HANA implementation is also available in two flavors. One is on-premise and one is on cloud. So if you are in on cloud, definitely you cannot log in to your system using SAP GUI. Okay. In cloud, you will not be able to access your SAP ECC or your AS ABAP using SAP GUI. What you only see is a ready to use solution, and the whole implementation you will do with the methodology called SAP Activate. Okay. SAP Activate. With the help of this, you will do your implementation. So that would be one change from the implementation point of view. But if you know ABAP on HANA, you can leverage the concept of ABAP on HANA within S4 HANA, like creating CDS views,
Okay.
consuming analytical applications, and all that stuff. Okay. I'm also planning to start S4 course. So
I got that. Thank
that
you.
would be little beneficial for you also to leverage and understand what is S4. And there I will also use the same concepts, guys. But if you're using on-premise S4, then of course you will have access to the backend. And here you can model your CDS view, which we will learn CDS VDM, virtual data model, in our course ABAP on HANA to explain you how VDM can help you. Let me show you quickly a video which I recorded in my last batch regarding the same, in which I will show you how this is helping me to build an end-to-end Fiori application. Okay, end-to-end Fiori application on top of a CDS view using SAP Web IDE. An analytical list page application was built. Let me quickly show you that. Just a preview to before we close today's class, before we close today's demo. Let me just quickly show you a preview of the same. So hope you can see my screen. So here I have created a analytical list page application. So hope you all can see this video, guys, where I'm creating this ALP application. So analytical list page application I am creating here. This is our ultimate goal at the end of our course. We will be building this on top of a CDS view exposed OData service with UI annotations. That will be our ultimate goal. Okay. And then I'm just doing it in SAP Web IDE. This integration also I will teach you how to integrate your S4 system or SAP system in the cloud with your SAP HANA cloud platform. Okay. So now here I will choose the OData service, which is created by CDS. And you see now, this is your annotation file produced by your S4 system. Okay, using CDS view. And then once I use this annotation file, I'll just go ahead and let me quickly reach quickly to the end of the video. And you see now this Fiori application is built. You see it's loading the Fiori application, and you see this is how an ALP Fiori application looks like. You see a donut chart is loaded with sales order, total number of sales order items per product category, and there are selection criteria on the top. And then you will see in the middle area you will have, so first is your selection criteria, second is your analytical area where you see a chart, and you can also do a drill down. You can enable disable legends. You can switch the chart types. So you can go there and let me switch the chart type here to a bar chart. So you see it changed to a bar chart. And then if I switch to maybe a column chart, you will see it switches. And now I select one of the item, and you'll see in the below table analytical table here the product data have changed. Per customer, it is only loading the selected bar chart items. Yeah, and if I uncheck it, it loads all customer data. Once again, sales data for all the product categories, because I unselected the software from the chart. So that's an analytical list page application which we will build at the end using UI annotations, using CDS views, and an OData service built on CDS views. That is our goal. And believe me, nobody will teach you this in any of the course, because what they will only teach is copy paste. Copy paste will not help you. You have to write every single line of code and understand the meaning of the code. That will be my USP of training as compared to anybody else in the market at this point. Okay, great. I guess we had a great session. Time for your questions. We are left out with another 5 minutes. So who will do HANA CDS view, HANA Dev, and ABAP on HANA Developer? We will look at this during our course. You will understand what is the role of an ABAP and ABAP on HANA. Yeah, so that time you will understand. Of course, if you're working in S4 projects or ABAP on HANA projects or a suite on HANA projects, this course is relevant for you. If your company decides to go purely on native HANA development, which I guess they will not, because every company who is today using is an ABAP stack with normal DBs, they would either migrate to HANA DB or migrate to S4. In both cases, you remains with ABAP stack connected to HANA DB. Yeah. So in that case, it's relevant for you. But if a company is starting building a new software in the cloud or completely a native HANA development, then it will be useful HANA CDS or XSJS development using native HANA application. Yeah. Next question, I have access to S4 on-premise edition. Do I need to get an access for CAL for this course? Not required. You can practice everything in your on-premise S4 system. Whatever I will taught you here, all that applies to it. You will be able to use that. You don't need an additional server for that purpose. Now, Ravi is saying Greenfield. I don't know what do you mean. I think it is some secret name of a project which your company or your partner company is running to improve, I guess, probably the quality of the software, or I don't know. What does it mean?
No, sorry. I was meant. You are mentioning about new implementations.
Okay.
They can go with native HANA. I'm
Okay.
telling the greenfield implementation.
Okay, that's called Greenfield project, I guess. Yeah, I've seen in one of TechEd demos, they were talking, but I didn't pay much attention at that point of time. And I'm in the process of learning, by the way, this XSJS development, native HANA development, and also S4 HANA implementation. Soon I will be launching course on both of these topics, but I don't launch it when I have half knowledge. I will first get the required knowledge where I can build my confidence that I can deliver some value to you. Then only I will be launching these courses on my website. Great. With that, it's a wrap on today's demo class. See you next weekend. This is a weekend batch, Saturday, Sunday, 2 hours, 7 to 9 p.m. India time. Please do mail me if you are interested for the course. My mail ID, as you all know, anubhav.abap@gmail.com. I had put it also in the chat box. Let me also put it here in the PPT. So you can approach me directly. Yeah, in case if you're interested to join the course, and I will enroll you for the course and then send you the invite for the meeting, joining from the next weekend. It is going to be an interesting course, interesting session. All the ABAPers, this will be very beneficial. And those who have already learned Fiori from me, guys, this is going to give an edge to your career. This is going to give an edge to your knowledge. Believe me, it is helpful for you as an ABAPer. So ABAP knowledge, OData knowledge plus Fiori knowledge, that's a killer combination currently in the market. It's very hot. You are going to make it much bigger in your company when it comes to real projects. Okay. Great. Thank you so much. See you next weekend. Have a nice day and goodbye.